Hello, I'm Jessica Lehman, and this is Young Adult Literature and Self-Reflection for English 215B. I'm going to talk about the 3 books that we discussed in class, our discussions, our poems, self-reflection, conclusion, and references. The 3 books that we discussed were The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, Between the Lines by Nikki Grimes, and This Is Where It Ends by Marique Nijkamp. The Outsiders, the story follows 4 brothers that are in a gang. It takes place in the 1960s. So in the book we had to mention the real world problems. And the problems mentioned in this book was gang violence, economic status, social status, poor versus rich, poverty, newspaper bias, police bias, and social services dividing families. Between the Lines, this book follows a few students from a diverse background in a poetry class. The problems mentioned in this book were stereotyping, immigration problems, finding jobs after serving jail time, foster care system, alcoholism, poverty, newspaper bias, and coping mechanisms. This Is Where It Ends. The book shows the experiences of 4 students during a school shooting. The problems mentioned in this book were school shooting, sexual assault, bullying, violence, drinking problems, and mental health. So for book 1, The Outsiders, my discussion questions were, do you think gangs have grown in popularity, and are we just now realizing gang culture? I think that gangs have grown in popularity. I think they're getting bigger every day, and I think that we as a society are just now realizing that this is a much bigger issue that we need to start tackling. For book 2, Between the Lines, my discussion question is, why do we not teach coping mechanisms as part of the school curriculum? I think that it needs to be a part of it because these kids need to learn coping mechanisms at an earlier age and not just after a traumatic event. I think that it should be taught throughout all the schools. For book 3, This Is Where It Ends, I had 2 questions. Is there a link between mental health issues and purchasing a firearm? And do we need a better mental health care system as a result of this? I think that there is a linking factor between the 2. I really wish we could do something about it, maybe ask more questions on a paper or have them go through a screening. And I think our mental health care system needs a lot of work. It's overpopulated at the moment, there's not enough people, the burnout rate's too high. I think overall as a society we really need to start working on that. Discussion of poems. So for our very first assignment we had a me project where we had to come up with a me poem, and in it she gave us a few examples and templates that we could pick from. Then we read Between the Lines by Nikki Grimes, and then we had a reading response assignment that we had to do. And the poem that we had to come up with was based off of YouTube videos. So why is this important? By the time I was done with it, I was more comfortable and knowledgeable when reading, writing, and speaking poems. So the requirements for the class, everything was based off self-reflection. So you got a good overview of the books. So now we'll go in depth with it. For Reflection Video Weekly, we had to talk about what we did. What did we think of the assignments? What did we think of the book? Our interactions with our classmates and questions that we talked about or discussed. We also had 3 dilemma papers, 1 for each. We had a problem, so what, and exploration. So we got to dive deep into a topic that we picked from the book. We also had a discussion post and response. So for each book we had a discussion, so we had to talk about the problems in the book, we had to come up with our own question to talk about, and then we had to go in and look at our other classmates and pick 2 of them and answer their questions as well with our opinion on it. We had reading response videos / papers. For book 1, The Outsiders, the book was about truth, finding the truth. So our prompt for that week was failing to be honest. So for the first part of it, we had to write about what other people failed to be honest about and why we think they, failed to be honest about it. And then the second half of that, we had to write what we weren't honest about. And she gave us a lot of creative freedom on that and said, don't hold back. So I really enjoyed that. Book 2, Between the Lines, we had to create a poem, and then not only did we have to do that, we had to deliver it on camera as well. And we had creative freedom, so we had a few YouTube videos to pick from and put something similar together. For book 3, This Is Where It Ends, we had a writing prompt where the beginning sentence is, this is where it begins. And she gave us complete creative freedom on it. So we got to write whatever we wanted, whatever we thought, whatever thoughts came forward, and try and make a paper out of it. So each reading response relates to the book that we read for that week. My reflection on these assignments, because that's what this whole class was about. These papers and video assignments have caused me to really think about my values and opinions on stuff. It's also caused me to do a lot more research on topics. There's a lot of stuff that I would look on there, and there was no articles, and I find that appalling anymore. I mean, especially with school shooting, you don't even hear it on federal news, like on the news channel anymore. Nothing. You hear nothing about it. I mean, I looked up articles and there's barely anything out there anymore. And I think that is terrible since it's on the rise. So seeing other people's point of views also changed my thoughts and feelings on heavy topics. I mean, when we had to post our questions, we had to explain why we chose the question. Like, why does it matter to us? Why do we relate to it? I also talked a lot on the mental health and the ways that we can combat some of these problems or even prevent some of these problems from happening. My big thing was I was always afraid to be on camera. So I had stage fright big time. And looking back through my videos, you can definitely tell by the way I'd stand up here and talk. And if I screwed up, I would just redo the video altogether. And now I feel so much more comfortable being in front of a camera. It's like it's not even there. So I try and record everything on one take because it doesn't bother me as much anymore. So in conclusion, self-reflection can be found in any assignment that asks you to be creative, informative, or even educational. And interacting with other students along with these other assignments cause you to reflect back on everything. My favorite part of the class would have to be the 3 dilemma papers. I mean, it made me think more in depth on these real world problems, and young adult literature is very important for people, not only for self-reflection, but just to have somebody to relate to. I mean, some of the stuff in those books, it does have heavier topics, but it shows the diverse backgrounds, and it's a lot. I mean, there's enough books out there and enough diversity that I'm sure you can find your problem in one of the books. And I think that it'd be very helpful because a lot of them show a lot of coping mechanisms that these kids use or show how they're skating by or their thoughts and feelings on stuff, and that can make people feel not alone anymore. It also allowed me to see how popular a topic is based on the articles and organizations found. Like I was saying earlier with the looking up articles on school shooting, and I couldn't find anything. I mean, I find that appalling. Sandy Hook wasn't that long ago. I mean, even just regular old school shootings in Ohio, like I found nothing. And I find that to be very concerning at this point. So the insight it gave me is priceless. These are my references. And thank you so much.